and this is for um, excuse me. All right. Draw the bat logo. All right. A couple things have been asked. One was, what does it take to get into comics? I said it's the same thing as before, which is talent and hard work and a little bit of luck. But the great thing about today, which differentiates it from the past, is that you don't need my blessing to be a comic book artist. You don't need me to hire you. You don't need anyone to hire you. You can be a comic book artist, albeit not paid, by taking any story, preferably your own or a friend's, and just draw it. And you can post those results online, and you will be able to share it with a small community of people, and hopefully it grows over time. So you don't need anyone to validate you becoming what you want to be. All right. So you have no excuse. Just do it. Right. Just draw. Yeah. So that's the answer. So Batman '89. Yeah. I did that interview on CNN. I don't know if anyone has linked to that. And after I did that interview, and I was just sort of relying on my memory of Batman 1989, Tim Burton, the first Batman movie. So it got me really psyched going, yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, as I was saying all these things, like in my head, I'm going, oh yeah, that's right. That movie did do this. And I do remember that bit of the movie. So I got a 4K disc from The Office, because that's what Warner Brothers does. It produces that kind of stuff. And I went home and I watched it with my wife, our 14-year-old son, our 7-year-old daughter, and 5-year-old son. And the two youngest ones tapped out after about half of it. It's too scary, too intense for them. And it was weird trying to see it through their eyes, like Jack Nicholson. I mean, it is pretty frightening. And Kira, I'm going to ink on this, right? So you can see the lines. Okay, and but there are other things I didn't realize, like all the double entendres and sort of adult bits of kind of language in there. I thought it held up pretty good. It's weird because costumes and cosplay costumes have gotten so good that the costume itself, I've seen better versions of the Batsuit now at Comic Con. So, what was really cutting edge back then is, it's middle of the road quality these days, right? And you realize how big the cowl is over someone's head, which makes their head look really big on their body. And, Michael Keaton was pretty slim back then. So he looked best when the cape kind of hides his silhouette, but the times when he kind of moved around, you could see his body silhouette. He was not a buff Batman, kind of more like Year One Batman, but it still looked good. But I will say that, the Vicky Vale character, Kim Basinger, at one point, Bruce Wayne just tells her, like, shut up, like pushes her down and says, shut up. And I'm like, you would never do that today in a story. And she spends a lot of time in the movie kind of fainting and kind of just hemming it, like just looking like she's got her head cut off, like in moments of stress that would definitely not fly today. So you do see, like, it's 30 years. So you can see sort of how storytelling and superhero narratives have changed in 3 decades for the better, I believe. So, but Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne is fantastic. Like, just sort of like, he's funny and he's like a little discombobulated, and a bit haunted, right? And that was really cool. And then also the Batmobile. I don't know if I've ever seen the Batmobile kind of respond to voice commands before. And that's something that we incorporated, I think, into Hush. And I think it came from that movie, I want to say. Oh, no, maybe Maybe in the '66 show it did that as well. It's hard for me to say, but the Alfred from Batman '89, he's just fantastic. He's hilarious. And then that line, it's a bit sexist, but I mean, when he asks Kim Basinger, like, how much do you weigh? And she goes like 102, and he shoots the zip line up, and they go up, and then later he says, I think you weigh a bit more than 102. It was a funny line. It just kind of showed like kind of the thinking of Batman and how he would be able to assess that because he knew like what the tensile strength of that cable was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, it's funny when I saw it when I was like 25 or so in theater, and I was a comic book professional at that point. I thought the action was really muted, but then watching it now, it's not. It's actually pretty dynamic, I thought. So it's interesting how the movie didn't change, but my recollection and my opinion of it has changed in 30 years. And then there's that last shot where Batman's standing on a gargoyle with the moon, I believe, or is it the bat symbol? The bat symbol, I think. And the cape's just slightly fluttering. And I remember back in '89 when I saw that, I was like, oh, they missed the opportunity. The cape should have been flowing more dramatically, and more bombastically, because that was like Image Comics, right? Or pre-Image, right around that time. Like everything was over the top, dialed to 10. That always bugged me when I was 25. But now looking at it, I was like, no, this is so much more beautiful. It's understated. It's just, so again, it shows you that the material is the same, but my experience of it has changed. So, yeah. No, I don't think. See, that's the thing. I think back then I thought the cape should have been flying, but now I'm like, I think it's cool. I like it being more understated. It's not this bombastic superhero Batman. It's like this very subtle figure in the night, and yeah, Hexen 007. Yeah, peaceful, a little more somber, maybe, right? Yes, a somber, more reflective Batman. Really great music too. All right, let's get this done for charity's sake. So pencils only. Ay, ay, ay. I got the message from Kate. Pencils only. Thing is, you can't hardly really see the pencils online. Can you? I mean, you can see a little bit. All right. I'm doing a lot of underdrawing. Okay. Let's see if this shows up. You know what might help is if I turn the lights away so we don't get as much of a shine. How does that look? Okay, can you guys see that? Yeah, great. And the Batwing was awesome. But even then, I was watching this going like, think of the production budget. I mean, obviously in $1989 or $88, and just really the love and care that went to each shot and the Art Deco. Everything was kind of bespoke looking and a nod, I'm sure, to other sort of classic movies that Tim Burton loved. But it was just beautiful. And Jack Palance is awesome. And of course, Jack Nicholson. Much scarier than I imagined or remember. Again, I was watching with my kids and they were not handling the Joker scenes that well. But they didn't have nightmares. They didn't wake up in the middle of the night. So that was good. So I don't know when we're going to revisit that. They've seen a little bit of Star Wars. They've not sat through all of that either. My other older kids, I remember kind of hiding behind the couch as we would watch it, but I think they were a little bit older. We're going to go see Toy Story today, so we'll make up for it. Like, it's not all about subjecting them to Dad's movies from yesteryear. But for sure, the production values are amazing. He did some stuff with old, kind of a shout out to old horror movies in terms of he used animation techniques, right? Like the very first time you see Batman looking down on a building, you see him turn away from looking down the street, and you see his cape, the shadow of it, extend as he walks towards a doorway that would get him into the building. And then later, I think there's headlights, or not headlights, spotlights shining upon this Gothic church. And those are animated, I believe, right? Does anyone know? I think they are. Um, so the director was definitely pulling out all the stops and trying to achieve certain effects before they're readily available. Then even the Batmobile kind of locking up, like early days of CGI, but it looked good, held up. Transfer was pretty clean. Someone was saying that the sound effects were completely redone. I don't know anything about that. They didn't. I didn't notice anything odd about that. I was watching on a pretty big screen. I think I want to say, was it projection? Was it projection TV? Not projection TV. What am I looking for? It's like a home theater thing. So I think it was like 120 inches or 130. Show. Four Locos and Metabot Link and R. Witterson and Kanger Banger have all resubbed. Thank you very much. Jonella has cheered. Pledged on Kickstarter for the backpack. And SM Cardi, no ink on this. Thank you for the notice. I appreciate it. The Neckbeard Network has subbed, and Uraha has subbed as well. Hatrad brings me current. Okay. I was not flexing steak and cheese. I was merely stating that. So, on the 4K transfer at that size, it still looked really good. So I think those of you that are really into resolution and that kind of audio files or cinematic files or whatever I'm talking about, audio visual files, it came through. I'll tell you that at this point, almost all our movies that we have at home are on the cloud. We buy through Apple for the most part. But any of the big action movies, I still go and buy the 4K discs. I have a 4K player, and because I think the blacks shadows look better, and I think just the amount of digital information is more. I think when you stream it, it gets either compressed or dialed down a bit. I don't know. I think I compared a streaming episode of Game of Thrones to an episode I had on 4K, like a disc, and I did notice a difference. Okay. I want to look back on what Kate sent me. So this person, they can do black areas. But I bet that's a pain for them to do. I bet white lines are a pain for them to do. I was going to do like a black background with rain, but it's not like he could paint. He's drawing. Yeah, it's not going to be the same. Excuse me. Okay. Byron the Bulb has resubbed. Scuffner has resubbed. Kanger Banger has cheered. Can't wait to get the backpack. Yeah. I did a little video on the backpack, but I'm gonna do one where I put like the phone like on a couch and then I'll just step back to see all the details. I'm pretty proud of it. Like we spent months on it, and just for I think people were asking the company just to make the portfolio itself because it literally is the size of the artboards and it is perfect for traveling and it's not gigantic. And then there's a strap so you can put it around your shoulder. Okay. You know what I like to do sometimes? Well, actually, I don't do this, but when I was younger, I would draw like the face underneath the mask just to see if it worked. Right? Like, so if there was a nose here. Right? That's where the nose would be, right? All right. I'm going to put Kate's friend to the test. I'm going to add some shadows. Anyway, I'm here this Sunday, and I'm in town next Sunday as well. So I'm looking forward to streaming as well next weekend. And I do have a cover I have to do, so that might happen. I always say that I'm going to do this, but I do have to do this cover by the 28th, so an evening stream is very likely, and I might even actually start it today. I don't know, there's something a little off. I'm going to change this eye. With wood, it's hard to look backwards through the light. Just the angle of the... And I'm going to move this eye over a little bit too. First day of summer, was that yesterday? Yeah. So it's pretty exciting, man. My cattle dog. Please take your dog out, let it pee. Do not make him deal with that. Okay. But now the eyes are going like that. The nose is going like this. The mouth is at a funny angle, and then the chin has to change. It's actually a little tricky getting all the... That's why I like, even though I've drawn this 3/4 shot of Batman many times, sometimes it turns out different each and every time. And so I'm often surprised, both pleasantly and unpleasantly, by the final result. I think in future streams, though, I'm gonna, aside from the critique panels, which I'll start up again. I would like to return to kind of drawing some characters I normally wouldn't draw. Usually, like typically manga. Anime characters. That was kind of a fun period of time. But there are still some covers that are coming up that I gotta take care of. There's still something funny about this nose mouth combo. I'm gonna have to. I'm happy with the eyes. I see what I want to do. I think this. Also doing something weird to this wood. It's kind of turning this dark brown. Okay, that's good. You know what? All right, this is what I'm gonna do for this guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. Might be a gal. I don't know. I'm going to cast some shadows. See what he can do. I will give some verbal instructions if you could pass along, Kate. When he gets down to this area, if it's easier for him, he can make this all black. I'm trying to create something that feels a little more graphical. So when you see it from a distance, it's almost like the bat symbol itself rather than a drawing. At least that's the intent. We'll see what happens. Okay. How's that look? Guys. Here, let me put up the angle because you're seeing at an angle, so it's already distorted a little bit. A little distorted still. There we go. Wo man guckt kurz nicht hin und schon ist da voll der Batman am Start. Where someone looks quickly, not here, and already there's almost a Batman at the start. I think he's basically saying if you look away quickly, it's already done, kind of. I think that's what he said. I don't know. Oh, DJ Mittens. Hey, welcome in. Yeah, someone's inking this using a heated tool. How was my German translation? There's a lot of hin and voll and words like that. Not bad. Um, don't worry, der Stormreider. Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch, aber nur ein bisschen. I'll see you at Baltimore as well, David. Angry Panda has resub. Thank you very much. Odd B818, PJ Bicer, Cold Stone Snake 316, and Byron the Bulb have all resubbed. DMS Design has cheered. Thank you very much. Give Knox a grant. That was a funny line too. Conzip, I learned German in high school and a little bit in college. Nightbot is incorrect. I've already been to Washington State Summer Comic Con, so that's over. Next show is San Diego Comic Con. Looking forward to that. Just because there's a bit of a break, I can kind of recharge, and obviously San Diego is San Diego. It's going to be this cool sort of Batman's 80th that we're celebrating that Wednesday night of the show. And yeah, Batman's 80th. It's going to play a big role. And then the next show after that, I believe, is not till Toronto. Going to Fan Expo Canada in Toronto in end of August. Eric Fisher Art. When's the next torpedo signing? I had dinner with John last night, and we're talking about a lot of things, but nothing is planned. But I'm sure I'll show up at some point. Do I have an autobiography? No, there's nothing interesting in my life that's worth writing about. I don't know any Japanese. Sorry. It's doubtful gestured that I'll make it to Heroes Con in Charlotte. Nothing planned. I've got my Pride Cons for the next 2 years already kind of laid out. TwitchCon is what, end of October? And I think end of October, is it end of October? I think I will be at Baltimore Comic Con. So after Toronto, what do I have after Toronto? September, I don't have a show, I don't think. So I think it goes San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, Baltimore Comic Con, and then negotiating for finalizing plans for a show October. No, take it back. I have a show at the end of September. Yeah, it's a show that would be at the end of September. Let me Google this here. The heck? Hmm. Yeah. Let me hold on. I might have double booked. Got to make sure that has not happened. Yeah, Baltimore is like the weekend before Halloween. And then there's a show first weekend in November. Yeah. So for the remainder of the year, that's San Diego, Toronto, New York, Baltimore, and then potentially this other show. And that would be it. Hold on 1 second. I gotta close the door. So let's see. You got a cheer from Quick Draw 13. How do you normally pull up at after? How do you normally pull up after a big show? Um, just did a 3-day con. Everything hurts. Was behind a table all 3 days. Yeah. And Janella has cheered. I'll be in the U.S. September, October. Are there cons during those months? Yeah, just the ones I mentioned. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I haven't sat behind a table for 3 days in a long time, but that's normal, man. I don't know. That's paying your dues. When I go to shows now, it's pretty organized, like to the minute or half hour. They've got things I have to be doing. So it's rare to just be at a table. I usually am not at a table doing meet and greets or whatever. The only thing to say is like maybe pace yourself a little bit over the course of the 3 days. Take breaks, walk around. You don't have to be there every minute. Just have a schedule like posted at your thing. Like, hey, Jamie is, taking a break. We'll be back at 4 and just be, fairly reliable on that front. And so, it's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of the time. So, and maybe think about maybe just doing 2 of the 3 days. And I understand you're paying to be there, or you're flying out there, or they're bringing you out. Maybe there's an obligation to do 3, but I find that usually on the last day it gets pretty slow. Maybe have a friend or someone mind the table while you're not there, so they can answer questions, take take you know commission requests, things like that. So yeah, DJ Mittens. Yeah, some people have been taking sketches from the stream and putting them online. That was one of the motivating factors, actually, behind kind of ending the giveaways. It's their art. They paid the sub. They won fair and square. But same time, I don't have to continue the practice, so I chose not to. But anyway, the giveaways that I have the list from Kirihiko that will start going out. And what I'll do is maybe put out a notice in the member for everyone to see that things like I'll say this item has gone out, and so everyone can kind of see that there's some progress. So even if your item didn't go out, you go like, at least they sent something out, so I should be up soon, kind of thing. But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. all those items like the statues and DVDs. I've pulled them all. They're basically sitting in a closet at the office. Just waiting for my assistant to kind of pull it, package it, etc., etc. Da-da-da. Yeah, Waihi, I think I was just talking about that. All right, I think I'm gonna end it like this. There's a fair bit of line work, so Kiriko, I would tell him like if it looks daunting, rather than trying to cross hatch and do anything like some of these lines, just make them into black shapes, because I think that will always look better than like if you don't understand the cross hatching, I would just blacken it out for the purposes of this collaboration. I think the black shapes from the example you sent me look better than cross hatched. All right. And it's hard to see this pencil on the shiny board. The board is actually pretty reflective, so sometimes I'm kind of drawing blind. If there was a period in time where people were drawing comic books on wooden boards, back in the Renaissance, I don't know when they would have done it. You can see why it didn't survive. We needed paper to make this happen. I guess they had paper during the Renaissance. I don't know. A little bit of a cast shadow here. Hopefully, RS will be able to handle that. Punker 13. I try to be respectful, man. I was a guest of the Giants. I wore black. I've got a ton of Dodgers gear. I didn't wear any of it, and they gave me me and my whole family a bunch of Giants hats, which we were appreciative to get. They're very, very nice. In particular, the players that we were meeting up with. Okay, I'm gonna sign this, right? Sign it right here. And then I'm going to put some other kind of random line work here to kind of push this out. Yeah, Derek Holland is a big gamer. Just he's into Batman big time. Super nice guy. Okay. Let's go. Wastorm CCG with the mad puns. All right. It is done. Hopefully it meets with your satisfaction, Kira. Let's see if we can get a decent look at it here. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Anyway, all right. Where's the soundtrack? Yeah. Hmm? Jim, Soren Warman. Another day you said how many characters there are in the DC universe. Can you say it again? I think there's like 10 to 25,000 depending on what you like. Is the Batcave a character? Obviously it's not, but it is a bit of IP. Like it's a unique bit of IP. So, organizations, from Checkmate to Leviathan. So, I think that the estimate is in that kind of range, over 10,000, under 25,000. Okay. Thank you, DJ Mittens. That was a lot of fun to do. A lot of work. More work. I came up with the idea like um, of having all these characters together because it was a political. It's not something that everyone just agreed